by the continuation of electromagnetic wave. What is the wide range of rays are available? Last one, where frequency is maximum and wavelength is minimum, because we know frequency is inversely related with lambda, right? So this is our gamma rays. Then we have X-ray, then ultraviolet ray, or you may say UV ray. In between the band that is called visible spectrum, which is easily recognized by us, and after this is infrared region, and then microwave. This is band of microwave. After this is long band of radio wave. In radio wave are two type. One is called FM, another is called AM. Right. So these having two bands and closed by long radio wave also. Long radio wave. So this is the normal electromagnetic spectrum with increasing the value of lambda and decreasing the value of frequency. Keep in mind, in this case 10 raised to the power 24 order of frequency. This is value of nu. We are writing on upper portion. In terms of lambda, we are writing on the bottom portion, it having 10 raised to the power minus 16 order. So what we will watching, if you move this side, value got decreases. This side it gonna be low in order. When we are moving from this side, lambda is increases, and at the last moment, if you think about the lambda of long radio wave, it become 10 raised to the power 8 in order, right? This is wavelength, or we are writing all these things in mode of meter, because lambda is the wavelength, it is measured in meter. In upper portion, frequency is per second and it got decreases. Previously it is when it started from the gamma rays 10 raised to the power 24, and when we terminate at long radio wave, it become 10 raised to the power 0. So see what is the changes. 24 to 0, it means it is definitely decreasing in order. And bottom side you will see 10 raised to the power minus 16 to 10 raised to the power plus 8. So wavelength is increases. One special band for us which observed color by our eye, that is called visible spectrum. This spectrum is lies between ultraviolet rays and infrared region. In between, whatever the electromagnetic spectrum is called visible spectrum. Memorize this better. Visible spectrum is lies between ultraviolet ray and infrared. Very much you have to aware, because sometimes question is arises what is ultraviolet and which band ultraviolet, after visible region which band is lying, you must be write the infrared region. Another type of question also arises in exam. Visible region where it lies, you have must be right between ultraviolet ray and infrared region. So this is our observation. If you are asking for this terminal, it having violet ray, right? Vivgyor, you studied in your previous class maybe, then spectrum, and terminate with the red. This is red portion. Last one is Vivgyor. Then it start with the indigo, then blue, green, yellow, and then this is these type of bands we are observing our eyes. It start from violet and terminate at red. In this, violet having respected wavelength is 400 nanometer. Nanometer, better keep in mind, nanometer is 10 raised to the power minus 9 1 nanometer is equal to 10 raised to the power minus 9 meter. So memorize this. We have required some time to solving the question. They are not writing in the form of meter. That time you have to memorize 1 nanometer is equal to 10 raised to the power minus 9 meter. And red having wavelength, largest wavelength in length in terms of visible spectrum, 400 nanometer for violet, and maximum wavelength is red. So we had seen so many traffic places we are using red lights. What is? Because its wavelength is maximum, we are easily identify, easily visible, right? So same thing, down the side wavelength is increases, frequency is decreases. And keep in mind, it is if someone is confusing by this, correlate with this formula. C is by lambda, it means C is constant, which is velocity of light. So nu is inversely related with lambda. If somewhere you are finding lambda is increases, automatically the decrease in the value of its frequency. So this is just opposite of this. And radioactive disintegration is mainly lies on gamma rays. Keep in mind, somewhere if you find radioactive disintegration is gamma rays order, right? Generation source from gamma rays. This is our generation source. If we look for the X-ray, X-ray comes from metal when electron strikes on it. So it gives by metal whenever when electron strike on surface strikes, right? Next is our ultraviolet ray. We are very clear to ultraviolet rays are coming from sun ray. And then visible region is by stars arc length. So you will easily understand the wide range of visible region or visible spectrum. This is coming from star and arc length. So memorize this. This is the idea. Visible region rays are coming from here. And next is radio wave by the alternating current of high frequency. These are area question are coming from sometime this area. So memorize this. Radio wave generated source is alternating current of high frequency Memorize this. And then we have little more idea about its electromagnetic theory. It explain about other matter also, like we studies its effect. Electromagnetic theory was successful explain the properties of light such as black body radiation. Memorize this. A is black body radiation. This is not too important in our chemistry theory, but just take little idea. Black body radiation. In this, the substance being heated is black body and the radiation emitted is called black body radiation. Keep in mind, it got heated is a black body and it start to be radiation. This is not too much important in our study. Our study is important in this aspect is photoelectric effect. This is very important in the case of effect, or we have to keep little more stress on the idea of photoelectric effect. Photoelectric effect, in this we are projecting beam of light in certain frequency on surface of metal. This is just to assume this is surface of metal and there you are projecting a light at certain frequency falls on the surface of metal and electrons got ejected. and then we found electrons got ejected. Certain wavelength, certain frequency or wavelength, this is correlated to each other. We are projecting on the metal surface and electrons comes out, electrons ejected, right? So this phenomenon is known as photoelectric effect. When at certain frequency light is strikes on metal surface, it remove electron, ejection of electron took place. This total effect is called photoelectric effect, right? So keep in mind, if someone want to be write certain frequency of light falls on metal surface, fall on metal surface and electrons are ejected, right? This is our photoelectric effect, and it first observed by Hertz. So memorize this. This is not too much important, but process is very important. We are getting too many questions based on photoelectric effect, and you will just calculate how we are getting this photoelectric effect, giving a very great relation, which is just again we are showing on the paper. This is the light on certain frequency, a strike on metal surface, and electron going to be ejected, right? So this electron get a motion, right? In this case, electron get a motion with the terms of kinetic energy, half mv square. This is kinetic energy. What if the certain frequency we are projecting, that is h nu, and at perfect energy or perfect time that going to be eject the electron, we are considering h nu naught. It is a minimum amount of energy which is responsible for ejection of electron. This is also known as work function. Memorize it. And we are getting relation here, h nu is equal to h nu naught plus half mv square. We are finding so many questions in NCERT on this relation. Memorize it and keep this thing is equivalent to W naught. W naught is work function and half mv square, where mass and v is velocity and h nu is the frequency. So this relation is very important, and you have to know when it is projected on the metal surface, that behave like this. And sometime people are writing like this. We are taking this elongated form of formula h nu minus h nu naught is equal to half mv square. Or if you want to be convert into this, so h is constant on the left hand side, nu minus nu naught is equal to half mv square. So half you multiply to this side, divide by m square root, it gives an idea of velocity. This is very important question in NCERT based on this small formula only. And one more time I am writing this formula, be little careful. Sometime question is coming like h nu is equal to h nu naught plus kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is what? We are reading in motion, having particle, stored energy, or due to motion we are getting energy, that is called kinetic energy. One is potential energy, but we are here for the kinetic energy, because metal is struck by the certain frequency of light, is eject the electrons. That getting ejection electron is half mv square in terms of kinetic energy. H nu naught is the certain amount of energy which is responsible for ejection of electron. This is called work function. So h nu is equal to h nu naught plus half mv square. H nu is equal to W naught, because this is certain minimum amount of energy which is responsible for removal of electron. Keep in mind, if someone asking you what is threshold frequency, threshold frequency is minimum frequency of radiation. Keep in mind two key factor which is normally we are using in exam. Threshold frequency. You have to write minimum frequency of radiation. Frequency of radiation is called threshold frequency. This is our key factor. Memorize this. And next is work function. Sometimes people are giving question based on this. So work function is required minimum energy. Threshold frequency is minimum frequency of radiation. And work function is required minimum energy of radiation. Required minimum energy of radiation for ejection of electron. Right. So you have only write required minimum amount of energy of the radiation. Right. And you know E is equal to h nu, what we read in previously. E is equal to work function plus kinetic energy. Memorize this relation also. Very important for this atomic structure of atom. Atomic structure, this is very important for all of us. And this is all about the theory of this, right? So memorize this idea. This is our, again we are recapitulate little faster. We are getting the theory of electromagnetic radiation, electromagnetic wave. This is the band range where decreasing order of its frequency, increasing order of its wavelength. And first is gamma rays, then X-ray, ultraviolet ray, infrared, microwave, radio wave, and long range of radio wave, right? In between ultraviolet ray and infrared region, we are getting visible spectrum. It starts from violet and perfectly move towards the red. Vibgyor. Violet, indigo. Keep in mind, Vibgyor is the, you have to memorize by this. V stand for violet, I stand for indigo, B is blue, green, yellow, orange and red. This is a radiation color. And 1 nanometer is 10 raised to power minus 9 meter. And then whatever the relation, radioactive disintegration is the source of gamma rays. X-ray is metal when eject electrons strike ultraviolet from sun. Visible rays from a star, radio wave from alternating current of high frequency. This is productive, and photoelectric effect is much more important for all of us. So photoelectric effect is a certain frequency of light strike on the metal surface, and that is responsible for ejection of electron. And it is first observed by Hertz. Next is, this is just an experiment we observed. H nu amount of energy of that radiation, respective radiation, it will strike on the metal surface, and the ejection of electron takes place which having energy. This is certain of an amount of energy which is essential for ejection of electron, that is called work function. So we had organized the relation between energy, work function and kinetic energy. This is comes in this order. When someone asking is what is the velocity of this particle, we calculate by this formula, or we may write this. It is very typical to identify the threshold frequency. Memorize this key factor: minimum frequency of radiation, work function, required minimum of radiation, minimum amount of energy. You keep in mind, work function is talking about the energy, right? And E is equal to, E stand for energy, is equal to work function plus kinetic energy. Thank you. We will meet with the next topic.